The Minister of Public Administration is working on that. How much money?
This one. No, this one.
No, this one. No, go. You want to come? It's good to go?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. By my ever correct watch, it is sharp 1 o'clock, as announced all over the news stands. Before we proceed, may I take this opportunity to introduce members of the High Table. From the very far end is seated the Deputy Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, the Permanent Secretary at the Finance Ministry, and then you have the Honorable Minister of Defense, Honorable Gai, and then you have the Minister of Finance, Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, the Honorable Minister of War, Ms. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, and the Honorable Minister of Information, Honorable 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, is also the spokesperson of the National People's Party. Next to him is the Honorable 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, the newly created Ministry of Civil Service Reforms, Public Administration, and what have you. And then, of course, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Wars, Mr. 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒍. Seated next to me here is 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒏, the Deputy Government Spokesperson. But of course, my name is 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒏. I'm the Gambia Government Spokesperson and Presidential Advisor on Diaspora Affairs. I welcome all of you to this major press conference. This is a major press conference that was actually mandated by His Excellency President Adama Barrow. This press conference was officially sanctioned by the President of the Republic after the flooding of parts of Banjul and all the concomitant noise that followed the flooding and the allegations and the controversy and what have you. So President Barrow thinks that it's important that as a government we open up and talk to the Gambian people so they know the genesis of this project, how it all began, what occasioned the Banjul Rehabilitation Project. And today, this afternoon, we are gathered here to hear from the technicians, the ministers, the politicians, the experts who actually spearheaded this program some few years ago and where the program actually is. To paraphrase the Mandinka period, Gambia Bima Kunuma Binyadi, or Gambia Kunuma Bima Binyadi. I can say Banjul Kunuma Bima Binyadi. Many years ago, Banjul actually was teetering on the brink of a catastrophe because the tides were actually threatening the entire life and fabric of Banjulians. Mosquitoes were so rife in Banjul. The streets were reduced to gutters and latrines and decrepit and dilapidated the entire city was. President Adam Barrow, in his maiden visits walking across the streets of Banjul, was actually heartbroken because this is where he spent his boyhood days, going to Crab Island School and Muslim High School. So he conceived an idea that these people, actually this city, our own capital city, needed a facelift. So this is the history of the genesis of the project. So without much ado, I would introduce the consultant of the 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 project. Is headed by a Gambian, a former senior Gambian government official, and the consultant actually is Studi International. It is led by Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔. Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 will take us through the entire corpus of arrangements and projects that took place. We would hear the background, what necessitated the project, the scope of work, the undertaking and taking place, accomplishments of the project, the flooding, the causes, response, and anticipation. However, before Mr. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 steps in with his PowerPoint presentation, we are honored to have the Minister of Information and spokesperson for the NPP party, Honorable Lamin Queen Jammeh, to come and share a few words of wisdom with us. I thank you so much and welcome again, Honorable Minister.
Let me come there.
Yes, because I think when you use it, it's not going to be as audible as. Yeah, may I also recognize the arrival of the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Professor Pierre Gomez, and of course Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, Presidential Advisor, has also just joined us. They're not? Oh, okay, hello. Yes, I was just saying, may I recognize the presence or the arrival of Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, Presidential Advisor at the Office of the President, and of course the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Professor Pierre Gomez. Welcome. Honorable Minister, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Spokesperson of Government, and who also doubles as the Presidential Advisor on Diaspora Affairs. Honorable Cabinet colleagues, senior government officials, Commissioner General of GRA, the consultant of the Banjul Rehabilitation Project, the media, wherever one may be. To all of you, I salute you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The essence of the convergence has already been alluded to by the Honorable Speaker, the spokesperson, that the essence, the reason why we are here, is that it has been sanctioned by His Excellency the President of the Republic in fulfillment of the commitment of democratic governance and in view of fulfilling the democratic credentials of the government. Government must be responsive to the citizenry. And since it became public concern, His Excellency sanctioned that a press conference of this nature and magnitude must be called upon to throw light on the importance of the Banjul project, to throw light on the impact the project will have and continues to have on the lives of the people, to throw light on those who are in doubt of what had happened and how it happened. This is the reason why we are here. Hoping that the objective and the goals are one, both of government and of the media, and of course the citizenry, which is no other than seeing the advancement of our society from one level to the other. Since you are responsible of disseminating information to the public, and since we are servants of the people as duty bearers, the focus should be whatever advances the development of the Gambia should be the interest of all, and should also serve as the guiding principle in whatever we do. On this note, I want to thank my cabinet colleagues and all other government officials present for the commitment they have shown of being responsive to the people's demand. And we must equally thank His Excellency the President of the Republic, President Adama Barrow, for the concern of commitment he has over public views. This is an important democratic requirement, and beyond all doubts, the convergence is a proof of the testimony of his commitment. On this note, I wish everybody a happy conference. Thank you very much, Mr. Sankar.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I now have the pleasure to invite Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒆𝒍 International, the main consultant of this project, to proceed with his PowerPoint presentation. And after the PowerPoint presentation by Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, the Honorable Minister of Works, Honorable Ibrahim Silla, will briefly also have an overview of the entire project. And thereafter, we will invite questions from the members of the media. And the questions will be limited for the first time to one question per media house. You come before the microphones, you identify yourself, that is your name, you identify the agency that you work for, then you pose your question, and then you give chance to others. In the process, if there is a chance to follow up, you will be given that opportunity to follow up, so that everybody will have gone home satisfied that they have also at least had a chance to ask a question. Thank you. Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson. Members of the legal authority, our colleagues, as indicated by the person. My name is 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. I'm representing Student International for Africa in Gambia. And now double as the resident engineer on this project. Pilot project, as the Secretary indicated, is very, very crucial to the development of Gambia. This is our city. And the situation in the city up to 2018 was bad. Like he said, the president is concerned. Me as a person once the managing director of National Work Authority.
Sir, sorry for interrupting, but I think it's better for you to come here. Absolutely. You can't move all these mics, please. I think it's better.
Yeah, maybe yeah. If you have a problem with it, yeah. I was happier with the other one. with the laptop. But let me see whether I can operate it from here. I don't have. Let's see it. Well, let them begin to connect on it. Koli, your connection. Hotspot.
See, I have to come.
Yeah, I know. Ajar, Badar.
You can change from there. That one is better.
Okay. In this? But this is not coming. No, the hard copy, no. Because I just want to use. Sorry. Screen doesn't better. You love it. Is it coming? Okay. Oh, okay. Let me. Maybe I can see it from here. Okay. I can see. You can see? Yes, I can read from here. Yeah? Okay. Yes, I can change. Good afternoon. Sorry for the hiccup. It's technical hiccup. Sir?
In the middle there. Your main mic.
Oh. Where is it? See this one? Okay. Good afternoon once again. Sorry for the technical hiccup. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is 𝒂𝒂𝒏 Jaite. I'm the team leader for Student International in Gambia. I also double as the resident engineer on this project. Talking about the project, Banjul, the city of Banjul is our capital. Before this project, the condition of the streets, the drains, and the sewage system was in a dire state. Of course, nobody should be proud of that situation. And come this project, we are seeing some changes. But before doing all that, let me just give you the okay. The background to the project, starting with the drainage system. Most of the drains in Banjul were constructed in the 50s. There was flooding in Banjul in 1947. That led to serious flooding in Banjul. And the government at the time decided to have a drainage project. All the drains in Banjul were done during that time and completed by 1952 with the construction of the Bond Road pumping station. When in place, they've been functioning very well. with consistent maintenance. However, over the years, there was lack of maintenance, and the system went into disrepair. As such, most of the drains were clogged up, and instead of water conveyed, and okay, there's another aspect, before talking about the drain topic. There's also another issue of the drainage system being used as refuge collection. Citizenry dump waste into the drainage system. And because of that, all the drains were clogged up with solid waste. And because of that, water cannot flow out into where it should go. That's the bond polder. What is the result? Stagnant water, higher cases of malaria, and other illnesses. Then we have the sewage system. Before the 80s, there was this bale system where night soil men used to go around and collect waste at night. But in the 80s, there was this project to change all that into a sewage system. But this system has been in place since for now almost 36 years or so, with very little maintenance. It has been in the purview of 𝒂𝒂𝒃𝒄𝒂𝒏. Because of this neglect in maintenance, the system became also disrepair. And what we do have? Sewer flowing on the streets. In fact, it has taken cases wherein some people, their sewer from their house cannot go into the manholes on the street. There was an incident, one lady told us that for 15 years, what they do at night, they used to bail out the waste and then dump it into the drain. So this was the situation of Banjul. The pumps were dysfunctional, and there was also problem of power cut, that is to do with the pump house and the pumping stations. These are all created a problem for the system. Then we have the road networks. Some of you may remember there used to be several projects in Banjul, road health system projects. The most recent was done in the 80s. But with the construction of the sewage system, some of these roads were dug up. And when they are dug up, they were not even repaired. The recent project, that is the Banjul Rehabilitation Project, only considered the commercial roads, that is the Local Street, Liman Street, Hagar. But what do we have? With the increase in trucks carrying containers, these roads that were constructed using asphalt and lateral base became destroyed completely. So because of this, we had a serious situation in our streets in Banjul. Now I'll now show you the extent of the problem. So as you can see, these are the situation with our drains at the time. They are all clogged up with solid waste. Actually, this one, the last one, is 𝒂𝒂𝒃𝒃 drain. This is what we had. And as I was talking about the sewage system, see it flowing onto the streets, and they are also, because of the problem with the pumps in the pump station, like the P11, which is at 𝒂𝒂𝒏, they pump directly into the canal. Very unhygienic. Now, this is Anglesey Street at the Johnson with Hagar. This is August 2018. This is the ferry terminal. Just before we get to the ferry terminal, this is how it was in August 2018. This is Liman Street. This is how it was in August 2018. This one here is Cameroon, at the junction of Cameroon and Wellington. This is how it was. Okay. The project, the aim of the project The objective of the project is to rehabilitate the entire network of drainage system and the sewage system. Reconstruct the identified streets, replacing the broken asphalt surfaces with concrete. Reconstruct the ring canal. Ring canal actually is recipient of, you have Banjul have three types of drainage: tertiary, secondary, and collector drains. The collector drains are the ones you find on Cotton Street, Hill Street, one that's coming from 15 Ken Street and coming out of Hopkins Street. You have Grand Street, Combo Street, and there is one from Albion to the mosque on Boxbar. So this ring canal connects these collector drains to the creek. The creek is where you have, when you are on the Bone Road, you can see there is kind of a lake leading towards Banjul. That is the creek. So all water comes there and goes to the pump house. Certainly, the works will have a positive impact on the socio-economic activities within the city, whilst adding sanitary and aesthetic values to the city environment. Now, going to the specific components. The drainage works, including cleaning and districting the entire drainage system. This comprises the primary, secondary, and tertiary drains, and the collector drains. Cleaning and districting of culverts, where we have them. The construction of the concrete base and masonry works, all primary, secondary, tertiary drains. Covering of the drains with new concrete cover. But here we are doing a foolproof cover, wherein people can just open it and dump it. Because our experience is any hole that's left on the streets of Banjul, overnight you find that they dump material into it. The reconstruction of the green canal along the southern periphery of the Banjul, in combination with clearance and backfilling of the area between the canal and the city. But there we have a problem. Between the canal and the city is where you find all sorts of values. Although when you come to it, maybe there will be a solution to that problem. That is really good. Okay. Sewage. The sewage work including cleaning and distributing of all manholes. You can see them along the streets when you are moving. Unblocking all PVC underground pipes. We have several cases. Repair of all broken underground PVC pipes. Rehabilitation of existing pumping station located at Oxford, and the other one located at the Ghana. The rehabilitation of manholes and toilets within the compound. A repair of all manhole covers. We replace all the old manhole covers with new ones. Yeah, please go. Yeah. The roadworks. Essentially, these roadworks entail the replacement of damaged asphalt road surfaces with 15 centimeter thick reinforced concrete. That is for the streets, but it's different for Bond Road, where we have to use 20 centimeters because of the heavy trucks that are plying on that road. The works include the construction of the sidewalks, and the original project covered 25 streets, including bonus as listed on there. But one thing I must say here, the construction of the sidewalks includes the rehabilitation of drains and covering them. It goes in tandem. So what we do when you construct the road, first you do the pavement, then you do the sidewalks. When you are doing the sidewalks, you do the drains and cover them. So for all the areas of intervention, the drainage system has been cleaned, where you have work cleaning, where you have road sidewalk walls to be constructed, we did, and then covered. That I may want to make clear. So this The list here that you are looking at is the original scope of work. But there was also an addendum which includes another 20 roads. You would say the number, but most of these streets are small and short. But if they are not done, it will mean the project would have been useless because the impact would be very minimal. This addendum came into effect in 2021. Okay. Progress made so far. The drain works. The entire networks of collector drains, secondary and tertiary that fall along the roads that we have completed has been done, as I was explaining earlier. Before even that, there was this issue of cleaning. The project started with cleaning the entire drain system. That was done in 2019. And then also, like I explained earlier, where you have drain works for that, they are all the sewage work also. So what we do is that whenever we have an area of intervention on a road, also our first thing to do, open the sewage, clean them, and check. Because we have a situation, Banjul, the water table is very high. These manholes that are there can have settlement. So we check between manhole to manhole to see whether the pipe that is between them is flowing in the right direction. We have the entire network plan. This is what we do first before we start the roadwork, because we cannot do it other way around. And so far we found three problems only. That one was Cameron Street, the other one was three. One was on Cameron Street, the other one was Mox Road, and then we had one on Physical Road, where we have to fix the new pipe between the mountains. Also, as I said earlier, all the linkages between the main drain or the main pipe on the road and the houses, we check them where there is blockage and block them, and sometimes using flushing, because sometimes they have pipes. Of course, like I was saying, manholes, most of the manholes covers along the road used to allow increase of sand and thereby filling the manhole, covering the linking pipes, and of course what happened the flooding in the houses. But then all these manholes have been covered. So replaced with new ones. That was talking about the roadworks. The progress on roadworks in the original contract has reached 95%. And for the addendum is 85%. In fact, 33 kilometers of sidewalks have been done, along with the drains that goes along. Now, this one is just showing the work process. Cleaning of drains, even using heavy machinery. This one is on 10th Street. It's a big drain, and you have to use heavy machinery to clean it. I could explain about the drainage, we covered the drains. This one is 10th Street, where you cover drain and put intermittent covers so that you can open this one and do the cleaning. In doing this, we even make sure the distance between the holes is enough for somebody to go in and clean it without having any problem. And of course, the manholes on the streets, street manholes, how we clean them, socket, sometimes, that's what you do. In fact, here is an example where the manhole cover is being changed. This was on Mox Road. For the road works, this was on Fizara, You can see these are concrete slabs with reinforcement. Continuing the roadworks, this is what we are doing. If people go around, you have seen workers on this kind of job. Now, progress on roadworks. What you are looking at is the original scope of works. Apart from 3 roads, all the other roads have been completely rehabilitated, and all the drainage system along these roads has been done. Next. The second one, with 85% overall completion, is the addendum. For that one, apart from 𝒂𝒂𝒃𝒆𝒔, we have not started. And Hope Street and McDonald Street, where work is going on right now, all the other roads have been completed. The map here shows those in yellow are the streets that have been completed so far. In red, actually. Now I'll show you pictures of projects achieved, where we have before and after, to see the impact of the project. Here is this place near the ferry terminal, before and after. The next one is this place. This is the by Mega Bank, Wellington Street, before and after. The next one is Anglesey Street, before and after. The next one is Picton, before and after. The next one is Hopkinson, before and after. The next one is Kent Street Drain, before and after. The next one is Fitzgerald Street, before and after. And this interesting one is Grand Street Drain, before and after. This one here is, the next one is Dobson by the Boys High School, before and after. Now, this one is Tobacco Road, before and after. The next one is New Street, before and after. These are recent works. And we have Pinyai, before and after. Now we go to talk about the bond holder and the pumping station. The map here shows you where the pumping station is. It's on the Bond Road. Between the red line and the road is the bone polder. This is where all the water from Banjul, stormwater goes for temporary storage though, after which it has to be pumped out. Because the road is a bond that prevents seawater flowing into Banjul. The bone polder is an integral part of the drainage system. The original size of the bone polder is 120 hectares, which acts as a temporary storage of stormwater coming out of the city before being discharged into the sea. Over the years, the area has become a dumping ground for all sorts of things, and there has been also a littering of the edges with all sorts of vehicle carriers, injecting a huge amount of pollutants into the area. Most recently, though, there has been a proliferation of construction of warehouses and other structures within the bone polder, which obviously reduces the available available area for storage. It goes without saying, the reduced capacity of the bone polder can lead to rising water level in the bone polder during rainy season. In such case, if the pumping capacity at the pump house is not enough, there will be a backflow of water into the city, thereby causing flooding. Such situation was witnessed on the 30th and 31st of July 2020, as most parts of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 Road and some parts of Banjul were subjected to flooding. The rising water level in the bone polder can also be partly attributed to the obstructed flow of water, because most of the drains were clean. So there is a huge amount of water flowing out into the bone polder. However, it is very unfortunate, I would say. Preparations were well underway to install new pumps. The project requires installation of new pumps at the pump house. But due to the fact that we have frequent, the pumps are 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 two of them. Transformer there was only 100 kVA, two functions. So we decided to open a gate that will allow water to flow under gravity when there is low tide. And this was just about to be commissioned or started when the flood happened. Fortunately, the pumps were here, and by the 8th of August, all the pumps, the two pumps and the gates were fully operational. Can you play the show? This is the gate, allowing water to flow under gravity. Play the other one. These are the pumps in operation. Each of these pumps is pumping out 2 million liters of water per hour. Now, the combined effect of these arrangements, the gate and the pump, led to a very drastic reduction of water in the bone polder. And I would say within 10 days, the water level has gone down so much that can be depicted by the photos that are here. Next one. This is the photograph of the bone polder on the 8th of August. The next one. This is the photograph of the bone polder. At this time, there was no trace of flooding in 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 Road. So unfortunately, we had flooding at the time when the project was in preparation to install. There was an incident of, well, it's nature, but we are not expecting such a huge rainfall in July. But this is not only, it didn't happen in Gambia only. It happened, it is a worldwide issue. And Banjul, unfortunately, they experienced something which is not desirable, but we have similar situations in Congo as well. But notwithstanding, Banjul had a solution, and this is the solution. So right now, well, before I used to have some nightmares when it rained, but now I don't bother. We just measured. The water level in the bone polder is 0.5. Even that gate is not functional anymore because water doesn't go there. And the pumps, in fact, we are not even operating two pump stations. The project is supposed to rehabilitate the pumping stations. One at Brikama, the other one at Boxbar. Now, actually the process goes on. But as of the 20th of August, 2 new pumps were installed at the 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒏 station. They call it P11. It enabled pumping water into the sea through a pipe that you can see out there. Now, this pipe is a problem. It is supposed to be lying on the seabed, but it has discharged from the seabed. As you can see it now, standing up there, it's just discharging about 50 meters from the shoreline. It's a problem, and I'm sure most of us here know about the problem is, and we need to solve it. The other thing that about the sewage system is, after the installation of the pumps, we are going to rehabilitate the entire building. Already the panels have been changed, but if you go to that pump house, you'll see something of the past ice age. In fact, the worst situation is at Brikama Garage. But it's much more difficult than these ones at the Boxbar station. That one will also be tackled. Now, talking about the outstanding works on this project. As I presented to you, 95% of the roads in the original scope have been completed. 85% of the roads in the addendum has been completed. The drainage system, the secondary, tertiary drains have all been completed alongside the roads. The collector drains, there are 6 of them. Grand streets have been completed. We are now working on the one that's from Albion Place going to Boxbar. The outstanding ones are the collector drains, because once you excavate, it was done in 2019, but there's a stubborn grass that grows along the canal and becomes an obstruction. So it is we are deciding among ourselves to line the canal. And this discussion is going on. I already engaged the ministry on this, to make a concrete lighting of the canal, to make it free of all obstructions. That will enhance the flow. But of course, we say this is something that we expect when there is no flooding in the Polda. But we don't expect installation of our pumps. I would say thank you very much for your kind attention. And if you have any questions, I can answer.
Your name, you identify your agency or your media. Yes, or there's a mic.
Okay. Good afternoon, distinguished ministers, fellow colleagues, and I'm very much happy to be associated with this press conference, which is a concern. And I hope that the people who are here today, the experts, will take note of and to make sure that things work very well. Looking at Banjul, Mr. Karamo, the presentation, I've gone through the presentation, which is very clear, brilliant, and I'm happy. But it's a great concern to me as a citizen, and of course, one time I was living in Banjul. There's supposed to be proper survey, and then also a good qualified technicians that will ensure we have a good development in Banjul. Otherwise, our city will be flooding. I could remember when I was a little younger, Somebody was saying, but I cannot remember who the person is, but I'm sure some of you might remember who the person is. They said, in 50 years to come, Banjul will be sinking. And looking at the picture, we have seen something like that. I think it's a great concern for now, government, to act seriously. With this current government, I'm sure they are taking it very seriously. With the current new minister, and of course, with the new ministers who are, working on, and I'm sure there's going to be progress on that. So my worry is also the attitude of the people, because looking at the quarters, people throw their garbages, and this is concern for when it rains. It's difficult for where water pass through, and this has caused a serious flooding in Banjul. I think that this thing needs to be addressed very seriously. Looking at also the
I'm sorry. Number one, you were supposed to tell us who you are and the agency you represent. Unfortunately, you erred fatally on that. And number two, you now, just 1 second, please. You're now making a commentary instead of questions, and we are time bound. Okay, so I will appeal. That's okay. I will appeal that you yield to somebody else, because we've had you talked about the need for qualified engineers, attitudinal change towards dumping of stuff. We had all that, and the government has to be careful next time they have we take note of that, and we thank you so much for your profound suggestions. Thank you.
My apologies.
Next person, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My name is Omar Wali. I work for the BBC. What I want to know, the consultant is here to explain to us, but the contractor, the man who was given the work to do, that is Hadim Guy, is not present here, because we want to know why did the project fail, and now that's supposed to be part of the project was left out. Why is Hadim not here, and why was Nawek left out of this project?
Thank you. So I think the Honorable Minister of Works can answer that question, or those questions. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you very much, Elman, for those two questions. The first question, the absence of the contractor. Just for your information, it is the Gambia government that awarded the contract to Guy Construction Company. And any question related to this project, especially as per this press conference, the burden lies on us as government to clarify. And the consultant is our representative at the Banjul project, and he serves the interests of the Gambia government. And any question relating to the performance of the contractor, things that he is doing or he's supposed to do, definitely the consultant represents us at the project site, and those issues, wherever they arise, actually they are brought to the attention of the government, and we act on them as they emerge. Your second question on the failure of the project? Nawek, okay, the non-availability of Nawek. Let me tell you that the project is a multi-stakeholder one through the government approach mechanisms that we do. As you can see, the outfalls that the consultant talked about, especially the sewage one, and also the pipe that empties the sewage into the sea, what we call the outfall. Actually, we work with Nawek on that. This is a fully funded Gambia government project. Yes, when the sewage system was designed, it was given to Nawek in the 1980s to run. But as you have heard, everything was blocked up, and there was complete blockage of the system. So the Gambia government took it upon itself to completely fund this, install the pipes at the pumping stations on Bond Road, and also the sewage pump station near the Gambia High School, and also the Brikama Garage in Banjul. And then following the completion of these pump stations and also infrastructure that NAWEC handles, we will fully hand over to NAWEC to run them. Thank you. Also, just for your information, as the consultant said, I mean, NAWEC has in fact now upgraded the electricity transformers at the Bond Road pump station from 100 kilowatts to 250 kilowatts for the smooth operations of the new pump stations on the Bond Road. Thank you.
Yes, for ease of movement, he's going to take a seat next to me here. Yes, so next question, please.
Let me clarify this also. Anything that has to do with policy, we as government and as ministry responsible for this project, we will answer. The consultant actually works on our behalf. The reason why we gave him the lead to do the presentation is basically to give a first-hand insight, since he represents us on the project side. But all other issues that have to do with policy, financing, and anything, negotiations, we take charge of that.
You coming?
Yes.
Identify yourself and your agency.
Thank you very much. My name is 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒔 and I work for 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏. Actually, my question has to do with the Banjul City Council. The mayor of the city has been complaining that they are not involved in this project. But I want to know exactly, is there any component in this project document that indicates that there should be a money that is allocated for buying equipment, money for buying equipment that is for the sanitary aspect of the city? Because after the implementation of this project, it should be handed over to Banjul City Council. Is there any component in this project that indicates that? Is the project also exempted from paying tax? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, under the project, there is a fund allocation to buy equipment for garbage collection and also for purpose of sanitary issues in Banjul. However, it is still not very clear as to when we should do that. Either immediately after the project is fully completed, or sometime before the project is completed. That negotiation is on, but the city council, of course, raised with the ministry the need to support them to have garbage collection trucks. And as I speak to you, we are really considering this. And to also assure you that since I came in, I personally invited the mayor to my office. We had a good discussion with my deputy permanent secretary responsible for technical and also my senior staff. And I want to believe that there will be a new relationship because at the end of the day, it is in the interest of both the government and the city council to work together to see that the magnitude of the investment that has gone into Banjul matches with the sanitation and sanitary portfolio of the city. And therefore, anything that can be done to empower the city to collect the rubbish, to clean the city, and also to ensure that the infrastructure is kept in its entirety, definitely we will do that. And we will definitely escalate that, engagement with the city council. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There's a question whether it was tax exempt or not.
Just for your information, I mean, a number of construction projects, especially those that either government funds or the donors, we do provide certain tax exemptions. For example, if we consider that bringing in gravel or basalt, over from the neighboring countries into the Gambia, is going to cost us more by adding taxes on it to do the construction works. The ministry and my ministry and the Ministry of Finance do engage, and sometimes we provide tax exemptions. There are also duty waivers that we also give for specific things that are related to the construction works, so that at least we reduce the cost burden of the construction on the government. And also for your information, we waive duty, but a number of taxes are paid that I can assure you. And in fact, since 2019, for this Banjul project, I can show you proofs. Yeah. There are proofs here from the Gambia Revenue Authority that clearly shows that from 2019, when Gambia government gave this contract to Guy, they have been fully paying their taxes. From 2019, these are, as you can see, these are the tax clearance certificates given to the contractor by the Gambia Revenue Authority. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. All those things are here for some of you who are interested. So the taxes are paid and tax certificate clearances are issued by the Gambia Revenue Authority. Yes, we do provide duty waivers to the contractor, and this is not the only contractor that benefits from that. Most of the contractors that are doing road works for the Gambia government, and if they want to bring in specific things into the country that are directly related to the work, and it may impact on the cost structure, we do discuss with with the Ministry of Finance, and then we give those duty waivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. On that note, I invite the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, to further clarify the tax questions that are being raised. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, the chairperson of this meeting or press conference. I wouldn't want to waste the time of this gathering, but as the head of GRA, our role is to advise the government on tax matters. But we are on the side of the operation, and any project for that matter that comes into this country, when we are contacted, we always give the government the right advice. One thing I want to make clear to everyone is that anybody, be it a project, individual, if you have an economic activity that you're doing in this country and you are getting money, at the end of the day, you are supposed to pay taxes. And as far as we are concerned, this particular company we are talking, that is the Hardim Geese company, is paying his quarterly corporate tax. Every quarter he pays in, he files in, and at the end of the year, he always submitted an audited account. And the records are here to speak for themselves. So this is what we have to say. As far as we are concerned, the man is always filing his taxes. And based on what he is filing, that is where we calculated his taxes. And then the records are here to speak for themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Dabo. Next question, please. Can you come forward? Yeah, you can miss it.
That's a follow-up to the issue of the tax.
Okay, go ahead. Your name and your agency.
Omar Ba, Standard Newspaper. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have two questions, and the first one is with regards to the issue of the taxes. For the first time, actually, I'm hearing about the fact that the contractor was paying taxes, because according to the audit report on the contract, there was tax exemption in the contract. According to the supplement to the contract, because there was a supplement after the contract, addendum, the same as, of course, supplement to the contract. According to the report, to the audit report, when the government seek legal opinion from the Ministry of Justice, legal advice on the issue of the tax waiver, the ministry advised the government to engage the Ministry of Finance and the Gambia Revenue Authority for advice on the issue of the tax waiver on the contract. And the Ministry of Finance wrote to the Gambia Revenue Authority, asking them for advice on the issue. And according to the letter from the Gambia Revenue Authority, the GRA Commissioner General stated that an avenue for granting income tax exemption is through the approval of a special investment certificate under the Gambia Investment and Export Promotion. Furthermore, GRA in the same letter quoted above stated that considering the fact that the tax exemption article in the contract is at variance with both the IVAT Act 2020 and the GIPA Act, they cannot allow such exemptions in the contract. So the GRA Commissioner General is talking about the issue of corporate tax. Corporate tax is different from taxes that relate to the contract itself. So we want to know when those that change, when was the tax waiver removed from the contract? Because he's talking about them been paying taxes on the contract since 2019. So we want to know when was it removed from the contract. And the other thing is the auditors have raised issues with regards to the issue of commencement of the contract. According to the auditors, the contract commenced well before the contract, work commenced on the contract well before it was signed. So I want the Honorable Minister to explain to us whether that is due process as far as awarding contracts are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Omar. Who's coming first? The Minister.
Thank you. As far as I read, we have the management response to the queries of the auditors regarding the tax issue. And I can assure you that the government actually complied with the advice of the GRA, and the contract does not exempt taxes. That's what I was telling you. The only waiver in the contract is duties. The other issue that was raised regarding taxes was withholding tax. And if you understand contract natures regarding withholding tax, what it means is that if I'm to pay you $100, then I am obliged to withhold 10% of that $100, so that in case if you don't pay your taxes in full, that 10% of your $100 will be used by the government to pay, and then you will not get that 10% that government is holding as withholding tax. Now, following the audit query that we were not deducting withholding tax, government has since been compliant, and even the latest IPCs, this is internet payment certificates that we have been sending to the Ministry of Finance. We are complying fully with that 10% withholding tax, and then we are deducting accordingly. Yeah. Yes, the issue of the start of the contract, we have taken note of that. But remember that when this contract was first discussed and negotiated, Cabinet had already given approval for the contract to go ahead. Now, what happened was that what the contractor was doing was to clean the drains, the drainage system of Banjul at his own risk, because by that time, yes, there was no contract, but yes, he went ahead so that, since Cabinet had already discussed and approved, he went ahead and then he started first with the cleaning of the drains, and then that went on. And in fact, before any payment could be made, we have to remember, contract was signed and it took more than 1 year before any payment could be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. There is no need for the Commissioner General of Customs to step in, because it will just be a repetition of what the Minister said. So, any other questions, please?
Sorry, excuse me.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Your name and your agency.
Sorry, I'm Mustafa Kedabo Malagan. Just first quick one would be, I have the contract document, and as the minister was speaking, I was wondering if he read it, because the contract document actually has a tax exemption.
We corrected that.
Yeah, no. I mean, when did the addendum? When was the addendum created?
Oh, the first addendum.
There was a first and a second addendum. Yeah, as far as I know, there are only 2 addendums.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, following the advice from the GRA that we could not give tax exemption. In the original contract, it was there. And then the Attorney General advised that we seek, or we liaise with the GRA for proper advice on tax exemption. So when that was done, it was completely, removed, that particular clause.
I know, I'm talking about the time stamp.
Well, I don't have the contract with me here, but I can forward it.
Because I have both the contract and the addendum, and I can assure you.
The latest one?
It's not changed.
Okay.
So my question actually is regarding the Study International. The earlier queries that were out when the project was awarded was that Study International was going to be the Study International was going to be. You mean I go here? No, stand by the mics. Was going to be the supervisor, and that there was going to be the contract was going to be awarded to Hadim, and Study International was going to supervise the execution of the project. Consultant. Now, my question is whether there was a study done with regards to everything that was supposed to be done, because they were saying NRA was going to supervise. Banjul City Council was also going to supervise, according to the cabinet, and that also Study International was later hired. I'm seeing Study International do a presentation on what is happening on the project. That's more or less, and he said he's a resident engineer. Is he an engineer on the project itself and also a supervisor? At the same time.
The concept of projects. Yes, and thank you for that. When you have a project, you have what you call project consultants. Yes. And these are people who are like working on behalf of the client, which is in this case the Gambian government. And within that scope, or within that framework, you also have what you call the resident engineer, who leads on all technical engineering advisory issues about the project. So, of course, Mr. Jaite, being an employee of Study International, serves as the resident engineer for the Banjul project.
Okay, but that's important. Thank you. But just one more thing. There was an addendum, and the addendum changed dollar denomination.
Yes,
to Dallas.
To Dallas, yes.
And the payment plan from 5 years to 10 years. That's what we said
Yes.
last time. But it's still paid in dollar equivalents.
Well, what I know is that initially the project was costed in dollars, and following engagement with our partners in 2019, going towards the early part of 2020, we have been advised that we should charge in the local denomination, which is the dalasi. But of course, if you say $10 paid to the Gambian dalasi will have to be equivalent in what you have in $10 paid in local currency. So if that is the question, yes. I mean, if you say $100 is equivalent to the dalasi equation. Yes.
And just finally for the young man at the Studio International, because this is the only opportunity we have to get people to interviews.
Sure.
There was supposed to be, according to the contract, from what I read, a diversion from the sewage, a pipe from the sewage at the 𝒂𝒄𝒏.
Sea outfall.
Yes, running to the bone polder.
The bone polder.
Yes. And from the interactions I have had and the little reading I have done, the pipe to the sea, it's about 1,700 meters. And the roads are built now already. Already at that place. So if there is going to be a diversion, you are going to build a fresh pipe from 𝒂𝒏 now to the bone polder, and two, you'll be pouring untreated waste. And that's my reading of the contract. I saw the contract. Is that the case?
That is not the case. I can tell you, the consultant will clarify. Actually, the sewage treatment station near the Gambia High School, yes, we thought had some issues, but just recently they have rehabilitated and they have installed the machine, and now the sewage is going to be pumped into the outfall, the sea outfall, that pipe that you were talking about. Yes, we have discovered that it is loose, and my ministry is working with 𝒂𝒏 to secure it on the seabed so that the pumping can go directly. Regarding the bone polder, any water now that is going to be discharged in the adjacent river, of course, will be storm water that is collected from the tank on this other side, and then emptied into the sea.
Well, maybe the contractor knows what I'm talking about, but they are saying there is going to be a pipe coming from 𝒂𝒏. It's in the contract.
Okay, consultant can come and clarify that. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. No, come. We want answer to your question.
If you have any issues, please, it's okay.
No.
Just let the question.
Please.
This is not a political event.
No. Mr. Davo, let me assure you, we want to clarify. It's okay. Mr. Davo, no, we want to clarify all the questions for you, and that is why we are here. That is why you have all these ministers here. That is why you have all these technicians here. Whatever question you have, please ask, and we will provide answers for you. We are not hiding anything here. Thank you.
Yeah, just a minute. Just for purposes of respect and decorum, I am the chairperson of this press conference. Nobody, and nobody for that matter, should speak unless and until you are authorized from this desk. So please, let us try to be very courteous in the way we deal with each other.
Mr. Davo, thank you very much for your question or seeking clarification. It appears you read the document.
Yes.
But if you watch my presentation, that was a problem. That sewage is being pumped into the canal, directly into the canal. That pipe you talked about in the contract is to capture that sewage and lead it to the pump house directly along the canal, not through the roads. You know why 𝒂𝒏 is?
Yes,
You know the canal that goes there? Yes, it's not through the road. The other one that you will talk about at the end of Grand Street, There's a canal on the Riverside Street that discharged into the bone polder. Because of the problem with the sewer system, it was a thought that to allow the water coming out to be pumped through the pipe, through the pump house, then it can be discharged. It should not be through the doors. Okay? The minister was talking to you about the outfall to the sea. That's a different pipe.
That's a different pipe.
Yes.
So, but there was a pipe that was supposed to leave Boxbar.
There is a proposal. This is what you read.
Yes, a proposal. Yes.
You read
That's
a proposal.
The document.
Yes. And what you read is what you call these people there, requirement. The requirement of the client. At any point in time, that requirement can be adjusted.
So it's adjusted now?
It can be adjusted. And we are thinking there is no need. If at all you are going to pump directly into the sea, why put a pipe through there? You saw 2 new pumps being installed, and it's going to be pumped through the pipe into the sea. That was the original arrangement.
You were going to change some valves inside the 1520 valves. I'm told there is no valve.
Who said there is no valve?
I went to
the switch system.
Can we have, let me answer this. Yeah. Mustafa, let me assure you that the situation of the pump stations in a very deplorable state, and government under this contract has decided that we will completely refurbish the pump stations, either the one on the Bond Road or the one that actually is responsible for the sewage. So we are completely renovating and refurbishing those ones. And as you can see from the presentation, the machines are already here, and the installation of the new machines to pump the sewage into the sea outfall, the installation is already on, and there will be no need now to put a pipe, that will empty it into the bond polder, because we have taken it as a very serious decision as a ministry to work with NAWEC to secure the sea outfall pipe, and then also renovate and completely put in new machines to pump the sewage from the Gambia High School and empty it directly into the sea outfall, and not necessarily in the bond polder. So that I can tell you is taken care of.
That affects the cost of the project, essentially.
Well, I need to see the project document, but this is essentially a new.
I think it's $2.4 million.
Is it the same thing that we do?
I wouldn't encourage you. I think it is very wrong that you are not actually listening, or you deliberately deciding to actually flout the rules of the game. And as a respected journalist, I think it is utterly unfortunate that you are not actually listening and following decorum. When Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 began with his rendition, I immediately came to his halt, and he respected that. And please for that matter, all of us, that's why they call you gentlemen and gentlewomen of the press. Please, any other questions? Can you come forward?
Well, good afternoon. My name is 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏. I work for the Fatu Network. I have a question to whoever is representing the contractor and the consultant here in this gathering. I was in Banjul before the rain, in the midst of the flooding and also after the flooding. But looking at how the contract has been done in the city, though many people are uploading the contractor for constructing those waterways, but if you talk to many elders in the capital city who has been there since the time of colonial time, they are pointing an accusing finger to the contractor that he has not been listening to some of their advices. What they will tell you is that the contractor believes he knows everything, but we also know elders who are in there. They know some of these areas. They said the contractor was not listening, and he blocked certain areas that led to the recent flooding because water wasn't moving freely to those areas. So question. Okay, my question is, what is the relationship between those elders in the community and the contractors who are in this place? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Of course, local knowledge in anything that you do is critical and is important. But what I know is that we have a project committee, and we also have what we call a project appraisal committee that normally work with the beneficiaries. And in all works that we do, we work closely with beneficiaries and we take their advice very seriously. As the question, regarding the question on what relationship exists between the beneficiaries and the contractor, well, I can tell you that I normally do unannounced spot visits to a lot of project sites, and on 2 or 3 occasions when I went to Banjul unannounced, I have witnessed and I saw with my own naked eye people who are appreciative of these project works, bringing food to the workers on site, sharing food with them, water, and to me, that is the height of appreciation of the work that is currently going on. Now, the issue of the floods and the complaints, of course, we are not also happy with what happened, during those 10 days of heavy rains and the, effect that it had on the people of Banjul, especially along Tobacco Road and its adjacent areas. However, that should not be entirely blamed on the contractor. You've heard what the consultant said. They were already installing the new pump machines at the pump station at Bond Road when these heavy rains actually happened. And as a result, the pumping capacity was so limited that it could not deal with the magnitude of water that actually we had in the city. But following the operationalization of the 2 pump machines, which actually were pumping nearly 2 million liters of water per hour out of the city, we have seen within 8-10 days, all the water was cleared. So any complaint about the project, that actually what we are doing this project has come to actually, deal with that problem. Problems of flooding, problems of, the drainage systems and all those things. So this project has come to address that. And remember also the project is not yet completed. So you may have some hitches here and there, but that does not mean that, there is no work in progress. Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Milan Bertmans. I work for RFI, correspondent in Uganda for Radio France International. The question I would like to ask is about the overall budget. It seems like at first the contract was $38 million, and on the paper you just gave us, it seems it's around $26 million. I would like to have an overview of what are the overall costs it will be at the end of the project. Will it be 38? Maybe it can exceed, because in the presentation of Mr. Jaite, we talked about the addendum, also some new costs that might happen. So I would like to have the overall view of this budget, how much is going to be, and what about the gap between the $38 million and the 26 we are presenting here. Thank you.
No, I can answer the question. Actually, maybe you misread it. What you have is a summary of the work completed and the payments thus far.
Okay.
But it's not the total amount of money, for the project. So the number of roads completed, that is itemized. It was 12 pages.
But the presentation stated it as it was already, most of the things are already been done. So what explained that 11 or 12 million dollars that are still there?
No, yes, as the chairman, the spokesperson said, what you read here is what we call the interim payment certificates. These are payments raised following completion of work as per the timeline. And when they are raised, when those works are done, payment is raised and government pays those funds. So as of now, what you read is just the payment done, so far. However, because the work is still going on, the pending payments as per the contract sum, if there is any variance, of course, it is because they have not submitted the request and the interim payment certificates, IPCs, have not been issued to that effect.
But it seems that there has been some variance appearing already. So do you expect the overall budget to exceed the $38 million, or?
Well, let me not commit myself to figures as for now, because remember, in contracts you have what you call price escalation, which is not applicable under this particular project. What I mean by price escalation is, for example, if you signed a contract, say 2 years ago, and then you agreed that you will finish your work within a specific period, but in between, if prices keep increasing to the effect that it is affecting the equipment and the materials that are needed, to do the work, sometimes you sit and discuss. But in this particular project, there is no clause for price escalation. So let me go back and then look at what the payment is and what is pending, then we can come back to you with those answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, next.
Good afternoon. This is Mohamed Lamin. I work for QTV. We've seen in the presentation the progress that has been made so far. I wanted to understand, we've seen construction of industrial buildings around the Ithambwe wetlands, which has been highlighted in the presentation, which, according to the consultant, can lead to reducing the capacity of the bond polder, and as a result of that, the storage of stormwater can also be reduced, and it will contribute to rising sea level. So what do we know who gave permit for the construction of those industrial buildings around that area, and what is government doing in order to help mitigate the problems that it can pose to that environment? Thank you.
It's a very good question. I think it's something you could during our preliminary discussions a week ago, some of this construction you talked about was acquired as way back as 2006, when this government wasn't actually in office. So you have already seen what we are going through in trying to regulate people building in places that are not supposed to have buildings. So if you have somebody giving a permit, giving all the legal paperwork to have a compound or a site, at a certain location, and he built it, and now he's reducing the capacity of the sewage, that is a subject for negotiation, quite frankly. Yeah. You cannot just go arbitrarily and just say you have to move today. Yeah, but then if the Honourable Minister has answers.
No, you are right. Just for clarity, the previous government actually, through an executive order, gave a significant portion of that Ithambwe wetland to the Banjul City Council. And as a result, I think since 2016, since 2006 or 8, they have been issuing permit for construction of warehouses to specific allottees and beneficiaries. Now, following the floods, and in fact, months preceding that, my ministry raised a concern on the escalated construction works on this particular place and the impact it will have on the flood situations of Banjul. And His Excellency President Adam Barrow has listened to that advice, and he has asked the Ministry of Lands and Regional Government to review the allocation of the lands to the beneficiaries of the Ithambwe wetland. And we hope that that will be escalated to the highest level necessary so that we can save that place from being allocated to developers, because it will definitely have a big impact on the flood situation of Banjul. But I can tell you that it is something that government is really concerned about, and we are doing something about it. Thank you.
We've seen recent demolitions happening around due to the fact that buildings were not constructed legally at where they should be. After the review process, if there is possible encroachment on the 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 wetland, what would government do? Would there be any demolition as we've seen around?
Let me not contemplate. Let us reach that point, and then we'll know how to cross that. Thank you.
Yeah, two more questions. Unless if there is not a new question, I'll allow Omar. Does GRTS come? Yes. Okay. Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Ibrahim Diallo from GRTS. I want to ask, in your demonstration or your presentation, you saw footage of people illegally or indiscriminately dumping into the drainage systems, causing the blockade of waterways. I want to know whether there is any active anti-littering law in Banjul as of now, and if yes, how often has it been enforced? And the other thing is that has the contractor provided any time frame or time line as to how long does this Banjul project, the concrete, will last? Because I'm saying this to ensure that there's value for money, because often over time you've seen road constructed and just a few years later you see them starting to having problems. So you want to know whether there's any timeline given or any period given specifically as to how long this concrete pavement would last. So that there's value for money.
Lifespan?
Yes. Thank you.
Well, I don't know the lifespan. I think, but for any major road work, you settle for nothing less than 10, 15, 20 years to have value for money. And we know that concrete actually lasts much longer than all other road construction technologies. However, for the life of the project to finish, I think we are targeting July of 2023. And then project will have that default period to see how the project actually, the drains and the infrastructure deals with the stress after all works have been completed. Then it will be finally handed over to the government of the Gambia to ensure that we take charge of the infrastructure. Thank you. Well, I think if I remember well, the previous government, I think, enacted an anti-littering law, but I doubt whether it is being enforced. However, it is always very challenging to enforce some of these things. I think what is important is to continue to do sensitization for attitudinal change, because what is important here is for people to see the need to ensure that the environment is clean, that the infrastructure that is provided for the people of the city, the capital city, is actually theirs. And then if we all work together, the city council, the government, and the people, the beneficiaries, to keep the city clean, it will last longer, and then, we'll all free ourselves from extra burden of having to spend more money to deal with some of those problems related to littering. Thank you. Good question.
Good afternoon. My name is Dado Chan from Star TV. Actually, my question is about the way forward. For example, when the flood happened, stakeholders visited the affected areas and suggestions were made about relocation. Is there any way the government is considering relocation? And if so, what exactly will be put in place for the people that are going to be affected? Will it link to the rehabilitation project? Do you think it's going to be a solution for the government to consider relocating people to other areas so that the project can be a success?
Thank you. I am not aware of any relocation initiative for Banjul. Yes, we went on a fact-finding visit to a number of flood-affected communities in the Kanifing Municipality and West Coast. And it has been discovered that a number of affected vulnerable communities along the canal, stretching from, I think, Tabokoto, Abuko, all the way to Kotu Stream, you have a lot of people that are also sitting on the waterways. And you know, we have the canal expansion project. And of course, when that comes, some of those houses, settlements that are directly on the waterway will have to be affected in one way or the other. But as always, government will have to come up with a solution for some of those affected families and communities. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Suleiman Dabo. You can start. My name is Suleiman Dabo. I'm a freelance journalist. My question generally is for the Honorable Minister. I just want to understand the overall policy at this moment in time about the contract that was awarded to Mr. Guy. Generally speaking, is government satisfied with his work? The second question is, the decision to demolish houses in Java, where does it come from? Was the president aware? Thank you.
Thank you, Suleiman. Of course, any contract that government signs with any contractor, we put in place strong, effective, and resilient monitoring mechanisms to ensure that the objectives of the contracts are met. And that is why we have our consultants. But we don't only stop there. We also have the National Road Authority as the technical arm of the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, and also our engineers who work with the contractor to ensure that the specifications are met. So therefore, if there is any need for adjustment or to do course correction, of course, they are pointed out. And as you may know, or just for your information, we now have what we call weekly briefing on all projects. And we look at the challenges, the progress, and the difficulties that emerge from the field, and we make sure that they are corrected within that same week. So if there is any issue of happiness or the lack of it, it is always resolved at the level of the ministry before it is escalated at anywhere. And I sit on that. In addition to what we call the monthly meetings that we have, plus the quarterly meetings. Every 3 months we bring in all the contractors that we've signed contract with, and we insist that they meet specifications that are provided in the contract, to the point that in some cases, if we are not happy with any work, they go back and redo them at their own cost. So for this particular project, of course, we are happy with what is going on, and if there are issues that we are not happy with, we point out and then we insist that there is course correction immediately. Regarding the demolition, this is not my ministry that is responsible, so I cannot answer that one. I don't know whether the president was briefed on it or not.
Are you aware of the fact that that decision was given by the vice president?
No, that's what I'm saying. It is not something done by my ministry, so I wouldn't know. Yeah,
thank you, spokesperson.
Can I ask my question?
Yes, Omar. Just if there is no other question, I would. You have. There's a follow-up question, so you can come.
So another question has to do with the demolition. So will the government compensate these people and how soon? And as we speak, there are people who are still displaced in Banjul. They are settled in schools. So when are you going to provide shelter for them? Because students are going to school in a month time or so. And the other one goes to Mr. Sankar. You express your disquiet with Mustafa, but I think we are equally disappointed in you for allowing an NPP supporter to this press conference, disrupting our press conference. I think such events are not for people like him. It's for journalists and authorities. So next time, please, in such a major press conference. We don't want to see people like him here.
Honorable Minister, I'm going to respond to Omar. I'm squaring for the matter. Mr. Bahu, I didn't even realize he was in this hall. Number two, he has a press card, he's a journalist, he's a bona fide journalist just like you are. He has a right to enter any press conference, ask or answer questions as he wishes. However, the right he doesn't have is the right to come here and rudely interrupt meetings when they are ongoing. So if you are disappointed in me, I'm equally disappointed in you because your lack of respect is the reason why you're addressing the chair like that. So no.
Mustafa, to our colleague, he said disrespect.
Yes, I am your colleague.
Respect journalists, that is the problem. Disrespect our colleague, that's what we are saying.
No. Mustafa is a gentleman of the press. I address these issues consistent with the decorum expected of journalists. I never insulted Mustafa. When Bahu interrupted him and I knew about it, I sat here and I said it is wrong for anybody to interrupt a meeting without going through the chair. I was addressing Bahu. Maybe you missed that. I addressed him. And he is a journalist. I cannot deny him coming here. He is a journalist. When you are not the authority that satisfies people. So he has a press card from the Ministry of Information, and that makes him a journalist. Any other question? Or Minister, you want to go here? Yeah. Regarding the demolition and the compensation, I don't know the mechanism that the appropriate ministry will take, but for the affected families of Banjul, I mean the few that are now housed at St. Augustine High School, I think the flood waters are now receding, and we hope that the situation that forced them out of their homes will not emerge again. And we believe that if there is anyone left, they will be returned back to their compounds. While we look at the permanent solution to the situation of the canals and also the pump stations. Thank you. And on that note, I bring